Today, as we celebrate a decade of Crimson Education's success on the world stage, let's take a walk down memory lane and explore some of the amazing moments that brought us here. Crimson's story is filled with moments of incredible growth and achievement, and today we're going to be celebrating the amazing team members that have spawned Crimson to be a global organization, as well as some amazing achievements that have brought us here. Let's rewind to the pivotal year of 2013, when Chandra, Fangzhou and I conceived of the idea for Crimson, really thinking about how we could support the next generation of ambitious high school students to reach their goals on the world stage. It was early and we had lots to learn, but as high school students, we believed in what Crimson could become. We met at Model United Nations, and as we toured different conferences and universities, it became clear to us that there were so many high school students around the world who weren't getting access to the kind of pathways required to get into these top universities. We launched Crimson to help kids from New Zealand figure out how to get into schools like Harvard, or go from places like China to Stanford. By 2014, I was studying at Harvard University, and I was working hard recruiting fellow mentors, classmates to begin teaching students back home in New Zealand. At the same time, we were quickly growing in Australia, and my co-founder Fangzhou was grinding hard, balancing his studies at the Australian National University with growing our footprint of students in Sydney, Melbourne, and beyond. In 2015, Crimson was growing rapidly. I was tutoring kids via Skype, online, kids like Samil Singh to Duncan Parsons, on their journey to these global universities, and we began expanding our ambitions, acquiring companies like Medview to help with medical admissions, and Numberworks to begin coaching students as early as 5 through their math and English fundamentals. Fast forward to 2016, and Crimson was quickly building a global brand for itself. In New Zealand, we won the New Zealand Innovator of the Year award, celebrating our achievements in broadening access to global universities. We expanded to 10 different offices in 2016, broadening our footprint of kids all over the globe, from New Zealand to Thailand, the UK, and beyond. At the same time, I was finishing my education at Harvard, graduating in 3 years with a bachelor's and master's in applied math, ready to grow Crimson to the next level on the world stage. In 2017, we launched the Tiara Coupe Beat-In Scholarship to guide the next generation of ambitious young Māori students to get into the world's best universities. Early students like Sam Taylor have had bold ambitions, in his case to be New Zealand's first Māori Prime Minister. We're really excited to see what the next generation of these students can achieve, as more and more of these role models blossom and go out into the world stage to universities like Harvard, Stanford, and Cambridge. In 2017, we also launched the Crimson app, which was our first step into evolving from education to an education technology company. The Crimson app enables students around the world to access a higher quality of mentoring through the Crimson platform, engaging with mentors from schools like MIT to Cambridge to Yale, and represented the next evolution of Crimson into more scale, into more student impact. 2018 was a year of amazing international growth, where we won the Deloitte Fast 50 Award for being the fastest growing services company in the country, as well as in the education category, with growth of over 1,005%. This year marked rapid international expansion as we continue to open up Crimson branches on the world stage in places like Taiwan, Korea, as well as the United States. We couldn't have reached that honor without the support of more than 2,000 Crimson mentors at many of the world's best universities that coached our students on the world stage through the Crimson app. We continue to see soaring student outcomes. In the first year, we had a single student getting into the Ivy League, but by 5 years later, we had more than 133 kids getting into the Ivy League and hundreds into the top 50 US universities. These students go on to inspire their school community, their cities, and their countries with stories of ambition and success that catalyzes the dream of global education for more and more students and spreads Crimson internationally. In 2019, we took Crimson to a whole new level by launching a full-fledged online high school, the first in New Zealand's history and one of the first on the world stage. Crimson Global Academy brings A-Levels, the British curriculum, to students all over the world, and for the first time gave students the choice to be able to access their high school both in person or online. Crimson Global Academy transformed the Crimson student experience. In Crimson Core, we spend a couple of hours per week mentoring our students, but for Crimson Global Academy, many of them trust Crimson for their entire high school education. We built this platform with the support of amazing educators like Sir John Morris, the legendary headmaster of Auckland Grammar School, who spent more than 40 years leading many of New Zealand's top high schools, alongside the revered former Prime Minister John Key, who led New Zealand through a decade of record economic growth. Alongside education heavyweights like Larry Summers at Harvard and Tomohiro Hoshi at Stanford, we pioneered the Crimson Global Academy model, bringing it to students all over the globe, beginning with Kiwis in Auckland. This was a particularly unique time because as we were launching Crimson Global Academy, COVID was spreading around the world, and many high schools were thrust into a state of confusion as their physical schools struggled to grapple with what was a global pandemic. Crimson Global Academy gave many of these families the options to continue their learning throughout the COVID period and minimize disruption, so they could have outstanding success with their university goals and academic ambitions. By 2020, Crimson Global Academy became fully accredited by the New Zealand Ministry of Education as well as the United States, giving us the ability to grant students the British A-levels or the American US high school diploma. John Key emphasised the importance of helping Kiwis compete on the world stage, and Crimson Global Academy exists to do just that. By 2021, our student outcomes continued to soar, as we had over 370 offers to the Ivy League and more than 600 to top 50 US universities. We also saw a rising interest in the UK and Canada as students gained admission to schools like Oxford, Cambridge, University of Toronto, and beyond. By 2022, I'd reached a really exciting personal goal of mine, graduating from the University of Oxford with a PhD in public policy. My granddad, 80 years ago, knew of Oxford as an unattainable school that would have been impossible to get into, and was reserved for a very small sliver of the UK society at the time. But all these years later, through a full scholarship on the Rhodes program, I was able to go to Oxford and have these incredible learning experiences. In 2022, Crimson had more than 500 full-time staff around the world, operating in 27 locations globally. In 2023, Crimson Global Academy was recognized as one of the top 10 best schools in the world. In particular, we were recognized in the top 3 for the World's Best Schools Award for Innovation, as we used our pioneering online education platform to help kids globally access our learning infrastructure. Our school brings A-levels and the American APs to kids worldwide, as well as interesting courses in areas like artificial intelligence, marine biology, and philosophy, broadening the scope of child's learning and ambitions internationally. As the CEO and co-founder of Crimson Education, I deeply believe in the ethos of lifelong learning. One of our values is actually level up, and in 2023 I was fortunate to graduate from Yale University's law school, as well as pursuing a Master of Education Entrepreneurship and finishing that at the University of Pennsylvania. By early 2024, Crimson shattered world records for Ivy League admission, with over 980 students gaining admission into the Ivy League, over 1,600 getting into top 10 US universities, and over 6,000 into top 50 US universities. Crimson Education made the Time magazine list for the top 50 best education technology companies on the world stage, something that made our teams incredibly proud globally. Looking back on a decade of Crimson Education impact, I'm so inspired by the stories of so many students around the world that decided to swing big and aim for the world's best universities and conquer their wild ambitions. From our parents to our teachers, students, counselors, and beyond, the Crimson team has been rowing hard to help students reach their full potential on the world stage. But the most exciting thing is we're just beginning. It's 10 years in, but for us this is day one, and we're incredibly excited to bring more innovation to the world of education globally. Thank you for joining us on this incredible ride.